Okay, in this video, we're going to show how we could go about adding corner boards and sweeps to the wall, and also how we can get a different material up in the gables, because the city of La Crosse likes having different materials in the gables. And Habitat likes it, and most people like it, so let's figure out the fastest way to do that. So this is the wall that I gave you on that example, and if you'll notice, it's already got, let's click one of them here. It's already got the 1-inch layer of rigid insulation added. So is that wall we're familiar with from using the book here. So what I'm going to do is, I've got the front wall selected. I'm going to hit Control and highlight that wall. I'm just going to work on these three for now here. And since I've got all those three selected, now I'm going to change this type to that stacked wall. And then I'm going to hit Escape. So this should look familiar. It's not from the book. So you can see, just by dumb luck, this trim board, which is a sweep in Revit, is pretty much perfectly lined up with my soffit. Now we can adjust that height on the wall where it is. And then there's another sweep down here. So this trim board looks like a trim board. This just looks like some more siding that we stuck on the front of the wall. So I really don't like that. Plus it's hanging down lower than the bottom of the wall, which I also don't like, because where the siding and the wood ends has to be 8 inches above grade by code, and I don't need that sweep hanging down further. So, but before we start messing with this too much, we need to edit this wall and add our 1 inches of rigid insulation. So I'm going to click there. I'm going to edit type. I'm going to edit the structure. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to insert a layer. And it really doesn't matter where I put it, because I can move it up and down, but it needs to be between the finishes and the substrate. First off, nobody puts 3/4 inch plywood on the outside of the house. That's what we walk on, is the 3/4. So we're going to change that to a 1/2 inch. Now we're going to add this one that we just added here. We're going to change that into a thermal layer. Material is going to be rigid insulation. Boom, boom. Thickness is going to be 1 inch. And then, okay. Okay, so now you'll see it moved out a little bit. I don't really stress out about that. That's going to be covered up by our rigid insulation on the foundation, that little gap between the house and the foundation. It's just, in my mind, much easier to model it and line everything up with just having the concrete there. And then we add the rigid insulation only on the typical wall section. Because then it still looks like concrete where the foundation is, and we don't have to mess with lining up things, just having another line on our foundation there. Okay, so there's our thing, our new wall, and you can see that it's lined up just about perfectly from where we want, but we want to get rid of that sweep there. So let's, first thing before we mess with the sweeps, I'm going to go ahead and put some corner boards in. And the way the corner board family is, now this has been loaded onto that example I gave you, and also it's on the blackboard. It's this corner board family. It works better to put it in. So I'm going to get rid of that sweep, which is the furthest outline there. So I'm going to put it in there. And this is made at 1 inch thick boards. And I'm going to put it in here, and then I'm going to rotate this one. Okay, now I'm going to move it. Okay, let's see what this looks like in 3D. So you see it comes in only as a foot tall. Let's look at it in 3D so you can get a better picture of it. Okay, so we're going to get rid of that sweep. Habitat doesn't do skirt boards. You're welcome to add a sweep and do a skirt board, but we definitely don't want it down, and we don't want it to be shakes, because what's going to happen is the water's running down the siding, it gets into the top of that OSB shake siding we're using, we just rot the heck out of it. Okay, so now what we're going to do is go back into the front elevation. We'll do both of them at once. So let's hit Control. And then we're going to just change the height. And so it's already going up 1. So let's see what the distance is where I really want it. I want it to come all the way up to here, so that looks like it's 10.4, good buddy. Okay, so we're gonna make both of these 10.4. So I select that one, I select this one, and I change this to 10.4. Oops. Click the wrong button. 10.4 apply. Okay. So now you'll see that I screwed that up because now it's sticking up through the roof, so I need to come down. So we're going to make it, my dimensions must have been messed up. So let's make it 10.2. Again, doesn't have to be perfect, just doesn't want to be sticking up through the roof. Okay. Okay, so I'm keeping the corner board separate from the trim board now as far as materials, so you can see if we look at this, hit the shift key and kind of pan around. Right now the corner board's a little bit proud of that. Now we could move it flush in so that it, or we could have it, be sticking out further, but I think this is a pretty good look. If we wanted it to be further in and have the trim board run through, we could just move this corner board into the wall a little bit rather than modifying the family. Okay, so we've got this done, everybody's happy. Let's go in and mess with the sweeps. So we're going to click on this wall. We're going to edit type. We're going to edit. We've got the section set up. We're going to go to the sweeps. Now you can see this material can be changed, or we could just change that to match our fascia color, or whatever trim board color we want to use. Right now it's pine. We're going to get rid of this sweep here, the one at the bottom, the wood shake one that's sticking out. So we're going to just hit delete. And I'm going to hit OK. Now, if I wanted to change the size of that, since this is a Revit default, well, first off, let's just show you what it looks like with the skirt board off of there. Okay, so now the skirt board's off. Much happier with that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to see if we can adjust this, the size of that and the profile of that. So this is a little bit of an unusual sweep because it comes from Revit, and however it's programmed, it comes in when you look at that sweep without a profile. So there's really no way of adjusting. You can adjust how high it is up or down, and you can adjust the material, but you can't adjust the actual size of it. So if you go to this drop down and you hit default, and you hit apply, you can see the default is just the standard square, which we don't want. So I'm going to hit cancel and get out of there. So we need to load a profile, and when you look at the profiles, there really isn't just a simple rectangular profile loaded in already. So I'm going to hit cancel here, and I'm going to go to insert. Well, let's get out of this command here. I'm going to go to insert. I'm going to load a profile in from the cloud. Now you can draw your own profile, and there's a video linked on YouTube that somebody else made that shows how to do it, but it takes a while. So I'm going to try to do a quicker way of loading a profile. So I'm going to go to load Autodesk family. I'm going to type in profile. hit enter. And so now I've got all my profiles, and the one I want is just a simple rectangle because I'm not going to make my own profile. So let's find probably just dimensional lumber would probably be the one I want to use. Yeah, so let's use that. And we're going to hit load. And we're going to make our own because this is really coming in as dimensional lumber, but for now 2x6, who knows, we might need a 2x6 trim board. We'll use that just because it's a rectangle, and then we'll just adjust the dimensions once it's in there. So I've already loaded that in, so I'm going to overwrite the existing version here, but you're going to be probably loading it in for the first time. Okay, so now let's go ahead and put a different profile and a different sweep on this wall. Okay, so let's click on the wall. We're going to edit type. We're going to go to structure, edit. We're going to zoom in on that sweep there. It's 9 feet up. And it's pine. So we're going to change the profile of that to the one we just added, dimension lumber. Now I've already modified this for a previous video. I'm going to show you how I did that here. So I made a 5/4 by 10 for a previous video. So now that dimension lumber should come in as 2x6 when I hit apply here. Okay, so it came in at 2x6, and now it's going to the center of the 2x6. So if we want to adjust how far it sticks into or out of the wall. Now right now it's going into the wall, which it doesn't bother me at this point, because that's maybe all I wanted it to project, but we can adjust that with the offset command. If you add an inch, it moves it out. If you do a -inch, it moves it in. So whatever dimension, you can move it in and out of the wall. So the material still stays pine, but the distance now with this new profile we added in is to the center of it. So I'm going to just show you how we could move that down. So if it's 5.5, it's going to be 2 3/4. So that would be 8 foot 9 1/4. So let's try that. So there you see that profile now is at 9 feet, just like the other one was, except now we have control over what it is. So let's say we wanted to do a bigger profile on that one. So we're going to click on sweeps again. And under profile here, oh, I forgot. So now we're under profiles, and we can't use fascias for wall sweeps. It would be great if we could use those already made profiles, but they're already for fascias. So we're gonna go to that dimension lumber profile, and I already changed one to make it 5/4 by 10, but we're gonna duplicate another one. So I just come in here, I right click on it, and I hit duplicate. And let's say for the sake of argument that we want it to be 1 by 8. So that's going to be 3/4 inches by 7 1/4 inches. So we're going to rename it. One by 8 trim. Okay, so now it's renamed, but it hasn't been changed. So okay, so now we've got our 1 by 8 trim, but it's not actually 1 by 8 trim. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to type properties, and we're going to change it from 1 by 8 is actually 3/4 inch. by 7¼ Then we hit OK. Okay, so let's go put that 1x8 trim on the wall somewhere. Say we wanted to do that as our skirt board. Okay, so we still have our default with no profile up here. So we're going to change that one to a different profile that I've already made using the same way I just showed you. So we're going to go to Dimension Lumber 5/4 by 10, and then we'll see where that one comes in, and then we can adjust the distance down as necessary. So I'm going to hit Apply. So you can see it's coming into the center. So if we wanted to, we could move that one down as necessary. So I'm not going to do the math since I'm running out of time here on my day. So I'm going to just type in 10 is 5 9¼ so that would be 4 and let's just type in 4 3/4 here. So that's 8 foot 7.75. Okay. Okay, so now we've got that in approximately where the other one was. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add another sweep for a skirt board with the 1x8 we just made. So now we're going to hit Add. We're going to go to Dimension Lumber 1x8 trim. We can make the material whatever we want. I'm going to make it pine just so it matches the other one. But you should probably have a consistent trim color on your house, but you can mix and match. Okay, so I'm going to hit OK. And we're going to put it in at 0 inches from the base and see what happens. And then we can always adjust it if we need to. So let's hit OK. Let's hit Apply and see what it looks like here. I guess we hit OK. Now let's get down here and look at where it came in at. Oh, so it came in down lower. So let's go ahead and move that up. So we're going to move that up. If it's 7¼ 3½, 3 5/8, so it's 3.625. Yay, math. Okay. Okay, let's see what this thing looks like. So, we've created a new profile. We've added it to the skirt board. We could change this to whatever profile and dimension we want and adjust it up and down. This is the same way you can make a baseboard on your house. And they've already got baseboard profiles already loaded in. Okay, I hope this helps. Thanks.